Oh, here we go again with the BS rumors, lads. It's all coming down on top of us now. But here we go. Preview of the Formula One Monza Italian Grand Prix 2025. Lads, the Temple of Speed. Apparently, the Temple of BS rumors, like we're saying. The latest, Hadjar is on the way to Red Bull. Possibly, maybe even this year. Or maybe even next year. No, he's not. Absolute bollocks. That rumour has about as much chance of happening as Jack and Rose both fitting on that door in Titanic. It ain't happening, lads. Now, we're going to get into it right now. Couple of rumours, couple of things to look out for here because Ferrari are under serious pressure this weekend. But it's also a place where they can really capitalise because if they don't win here this weekend, this is a nuclear bomb of pressure on them for the rest of the year, but they do have a really good chance. Plus, we're going to look at the track as well, lads. We're going to do a preview, the most important corner on that track to capture pole position, and not only that, to pull out in the race as well. Because the Temple of Speed here, lads, it's like the Temple of Doom here. I mean, this track is, people think this track is easy, right? It's just put the shoe down, full speed, engine speed, off you go. Not just that. Of course it is. And the intensity of this is so huge. The wear and tear of the engines can not only cripple you at this weekend. In other words, the weather's going to be hot. It's going to be intense, right? Engines can possibly overheat. But even if they keep their car together and they are reliable and they do finish the race and everything, cracks in the armor can appear at tracks like this. I've raced these type of tracks where it's all about engine speed. Because if you have a little too much overheating here, you can still finish the race. But in 3 races from now, it can all come back and haunt you. Now let's get into it.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front, what a move from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Okay, now let's address the BS rumors first of all. All right, now they're saying whispers that Hadjar's lined up for the seat. He's put himself into a real contention. Now, on paper, at a glance, you'd understand, yeah, okay, that sounds logical, right? The guy is in Formula One for his first year. He's got his first podium already, right? It took Hulkenberg over, what was it again? 230 races, 250 to get his first podium. This guy does it in his first year, right? Sounds really promising. Believe me, like, I get that. I really do. Thing is, I've been around the block enough times in racing to see the politics, corruption. I love the sport, don't get me wrong. This is why I talk about it. If I didn't, I would never talk about it on my podcast. I love it. But there's a lot of politics here, guys, you know? And if you cannot relate to office politics, if you can relate to other career sport politics, there's always politics. And, you know, Yuki Tsunoda's in that Red Bull for now. Now, Yuki isn't going anywhere. Not because he's tearing up the track. Because he isn't. He's been quicker, or he's been quieter than Matt Damon's cameo in Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, right? And the reason he stays is it's politics, sponsorship, engines, Honda, Formula One isn't just about lap times, it's about the balance sheet. Now, before you say that, Peter, you're talking out of your asshole here, right? And I'd understand that you would. I do have a couple of things. Give me some rope on this one here, lads. Now, 2026, it's going to be Ford and Red Bull. Ford engines. So it's not Honda anymore. So, right, okay. Things could change. Yuki Tsunoda could be booted out of that camp so fast to make your head spin. But I don't think it's just about the engines. We will find out very, very soon. Now, I don't think they're getting rid of Yuki Tsunoda for the rest of the year. There's no way, because they still want a really good partnership with Honda until the end of the year, right? They have to rely on Honda. They can't just boot out the Japanese driver with a Japanese engine and all of a sudden, so guys, are you going to give us the best equipment you can get us? Right? I mean, this is a business here. You know, it's a business, and I get it. It's very understandable why you want a team where you've got he's not the local driver, Tsunoda, but he's kind of the local driver because they've got the Honda engines, you know? And you can understand from Honda's point of view that why wouldn't they want a Japanese driver in the car if they have Japanese engines in that car? Of course they would. In fact, you'd be nuts not to think that. But at the same time, I think that Tsunoda is bringing a lot of investorship money to the table, not just the engines. This is where this guy's got some serious power behind him, right? He's got enough resources. Took me about 5 minutes to get out resources. There you go, guys. I'd be such an idiot sometimes. But this is where it's handy, it's resourceful, you know? And we'll find out. But that's the interesting thing about this though, okay? I'm my gut feeling is he's not just getting the engines because he's the local guy, the Japanese guy. He has sponsorship. It's like Sergio Perez at Red Bull. Now, let's rewind a few years back. We saw Pierre Gasly at Red Bull. Now, as far as I remember, he had 10 races. It got to mid-season and bang, dropped mid-season. Now, that was Red Bull playing executioner quicker than Sean Bean gets killed off Game of Thrones here. And brutal, ruthless, and rare in motorsport. Honestly, guys, I've been around it a long time. I was racing for 13 years professionally, but yet I've still always been around the motorsport. So there was the aftermath too. And I know how these things work. It is insanely rare where you just boot out a guy halfway through a season. It is rare, very, very rare. Even if it's in karting, Formula 4, 3, 2, 1, very rare. I mean, even that was a shock to me. I was like, whoa, what are they doing? And then, you know, they replaced him with Albon, you know, out of the blue. I mean, it was like swapping Robert De Niro and Goodfellas for Seth Rogen here. You start thinking, wait, what? How did that happen? But it showed Red Bull can, and they can make savage, vicious, ruthless moves. Then came Sergio Perez. Now, he started well. For 2 years, he won a couple of races, was on the podium. And for the 2 years in a row, he had great starts. Then, bang. Back to the back of the pack. Do you honestly, guys, do you really think he just lost his edge out of nowhere? No. He was putting a threat on Verstappen. They were like, whoa, guys, we got to back off here. And by the way, I'm not a Sergio Perez fan, but I'm standing up for him here. I'll be fair to anybody. I mean, if you've heard my podcast in the past, you know that Lewis Hamilton is definitely my least favorite. And I'm putting that nicely, all right? But I do respect him as a driver. I think he's brilliant. And, you know, I just don't like the guy. But that's okay. You know, that's okay. But I've backed him up. I've stood up for him in times because he was wronged. I'll always be fair. And it is right to be fair because I want to give you the raw truth, the unfiltered stuff. You know, I'm not here to try and BS anyone. And, you know, Sergio Perez all of a sudden is nowhere. Like Gasly. But yet he ends up staying for years. Now, if Red Bull are this ruthless where they can get rid of a guy halfway through a season, why didn't they do the same thing to Sergio Perez? It would make sense, wouldn't it? It would make complete sense. Get rid of this guy, lads. Let's cut our losses. And believe me, they're not embarrassed to do it. They're not, oh, should we do it? They're not ashamed to do it. Absolutely not. If they want you out, you're done. Good luck. So, you know, why wouldn't they do that to Sergio Perez? And I said it even before Perez got to Red Bull. That, before he even sat into the car. The contract was signed with Red Bull. The news came out. And I said, this guy's bringing money to the table. I mean, I've said this on my podcasts. I've said this. And it's just the way the business runs, right? Yuki Tsunoda's bringing something extra to the table. Honda engines, the Honda's golden boy, so to speak. And I think he's bringing investorship money. And Sergio Perez is bringing investorship money. These guys sell hats. They sell the Yuki Tsunoda merchandise, baseball caps, t-shirts. They're making money. Same thing for Sergio Perez. I mean, Sergio Perez is a god in Mexico. And, you know, when Red Bull don't want you close, you suddenly just don't look quick anymore. This is the contradiction, lads. Red Bull can be ruthless, but also very, very loyal when the money makes sense. And you can't blame them because at the end of the day, it is a business. That's not me having a jab at them. It's not. And Gasly dumped without a second thought. Perez and Tsunoda, they were protected, not because of performance. Look at the results. Look at their results when they've been to Red Bull. They're nowhere. I mean, look at Tsunoda this year. The guy's nowhere. You know? And I mean, Crawford gets booted out after what, 2 races? Same thing for him. And Tsunoda all of a sudden just racking up the numbers here, and they're keeping him. Can't we see something a bit funny going on here? You know, this isn't just one driver. It happened with Perez too, and Tsunoda now. So, guys, they're valuable. They're valuable in ways the stopwatch doesn't measure. Well, let's get on to other news, lads. But before we get on, let's say one final thing about this. Let's kill the rumor right now. Now, Hazard to Red Bull, I think it's fantasy. Now, look, I've been going on for, 10 minutes talking about this one topic, okay? There's always a chance I'm wrong. I'll even say it, okay? Here I am sounding very confident, but now I'm saying, oh, well, I could be wrong. Look, I'll always say that. There's always a chance people can be wrong. But I'm going to go 99.9% that I'm bang on the button on this one. All right? And, you know, Yuki stays because of Honda. Perez stayed because of sponsorship, investor money. Formula One is not a fairy tale where the best driver automatically gets the best seat. It's politics, it's money, and timing. And unless Hadjar shows up with a billionaire backing, maybe he does. Then that Red Bull seat is locked tighter than a Ferrari strategy call under pressure. So don't buy into the hype, because this is Formula One. Talent matters, but politics, you goddamn believe politics decides. Now, before we get talking about the actual track, guys, that's our next talking point. We're going to look at the track in detail, what the most important corner is and why, and how they're going to set the car up, right? And but before that, let's talk about Ferrari. I think this is a very big talking point for now. We did talk about them actually, a big talking point before the last race, but especially for Monza. This is huge, man. This is their ninth symphony of a race, you know, and they've got to perform down here. Monza, as we said, the temple of speed. I call it the temple of doom, the cathedral of Ferrari, and the stage where the pressure weighs more than the fuel loads, lads. For Ferrari, Monza, it ain't just a race. It's a trial in front of the Tifosi. The Tifosi are beautiful, but they don't take any crap, man. Think of it like Rocky Balboa stepping into the ring in Philadelphia. You don't just have to fight your opponent. You've got to fight for the city, for the people, for the pride. Ferrari are carrying Italy on their shoulders this weekend. And Ferrari, they kind of roll into this weekend a bit battered from the Dutch Grand Prix last week. A double DNF at Zandvoort, not good. A car that's just struggled in hotter conditions. And we did speak about that. That car's got way too much grip. Now, you know what? We'll wait. We'll wait till we get into the track here, lads. I'm getting very, very carried away and excited. And Mercedes breathing down their neck in the constructors. They haven't won, you know, except for that Hamilton win in the sprint race, which is still good. It's still points. It still gives you an idea of where you're going, where you're at. Yet they arrive here with expectation heavier than almost like the championship decider. And, you know, the Tifosi, they don't care about excuses, man. They want glory at home. And that's the tension. Ferrari, they must. It's not want. They must. It's bigger than need. It's bigger than want. They must deliver. And even when they're at their most vulnerable here, and we've seen this before, Leclerc has won. Insane. I mean, they're not even, these guys aren't even happy when they win the Monza Grand Prix. They're relieved when they win the Grand Prix. Yeah, huge smiles, of course. And yeah, obviously it looks like, it's pure happiness. But I've been there, that huge pressure. And it isn't happiness. It's pure relief. Pure relief. Because the pressure has been so intense. It comes across as happiness. And, they're limping into Monza on the back foot. They're like De Niro and Raging Bull, once terrifying, now stepping back into the ring with bruises and doubts. Like, the pedigree is there, the history is there, but the aura is just, for now, it's a little dented. Here's why Monza still offers hope for these lads. Ferrari's weakness this season has been grip, too much downforce. We're going to talk about it now. Too much downforce, chewing tyres, overheating at hot circuits. But you saw the way the temperatures dramatically dropped in Hungary. Then all of a sudden, boom, Leclerc puts it on pole. That wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't Charles Leclerc digging deep and finding something in himself. No, he was on the ball anyway. He just got the grip. They needed the track to cool off. It was like flying too close to the sun. Most of the time, in hot temperatures, they're way too close to the sun. They get too sunburnt. But you drop the temperature, they're able to get a tan without burning. Right? It's kind of like they've got sensitive skin. If they go out in the sun too much, they go red straight away. Whereas other people have less sensitive skin and they can go out in the sun. Maybe that's a weird way to look at it, but it kind of is like that. And Monza, you don't need grip per se. You need mechanical grip. So you need the suspension, the shocks, the bump, rebound, right? Bump is when you break into a corner, the weight transfer goes from the back to the front. Now, if you're looking on the video, so you see, right, this is the car. It technically goes to the front like this. It loads all the weight up in the front. That's the bump. Now, the rebound allows the car to come back to its original position. Now, in theory, when you get to the bump here and you're turning into a corner, that will give you grip, because the more weight that's transferred onto the front, well, the more stable and the more solid and flat the tire will be on the tarmac, therefore giving you, technically, more grip. But the thing is, these lads are trying to lose grip. So this will help them, that they don't have to look for insane amounts of grip this weekend. In fact, I think they're even going to be trying to lose a little bit. They won't be trying to lose as much grip as the other lads. So in a way, that plays to their advantage. And the mechanical grip is very, very important. Now, also, not just the shocks. You've got the ride height, how close they are to the ground, right? And you can adjust the ride height so you can still put the car forward like this, weight transfer to the front, or you can bring it to the back. That's also an extra way of setting the car up. Now, that's the mechanical grip. That's very, very important for your base, your backbone setup for a track like this, where it's all about engine speed. I mean, I raced at Hockenheim in Germany. That's all engine speed. I've raced at Thruxton in England. Great track. I mean, there's literally 2 corners that you brake for, believe it or not, and the rest of the track is flat out, or it should be flat out. Brilliant, exciting, fun track. Awesome place. And these are the places where you need to get the mechanical grip. So important, because then at this stage, you're looking at the aero grip, the wings. So they're going to be opening up those wings so dramatically that they're going to be trying to lose as much aero grip as possible and have their base set up mechanical grip solid. So anyway, enough getting into too much technical. This weekend it's kind of like a crossroads here, right? Deliver, and they'll turn the atmosphere into a bloody gladiator arena, like Russell Crowe in Gladiator itself, with the Tifosi like lifting them, fists raised, like they'll have to risk humiliation at home to a degree. If they're up against it, they'll get to that, F it stage, and they'll just have to pull something out of the bag. That's if they get to that area, that's the knife edge they walk every time they go to Monza. Ferrari don't need to be perfect here. They just need to be Ferrari. Now, they need to lean on the history, on the walls of Monza that have seen red cars win and dominate here. And while nothing's guaranteed in Formula 1, one thing is for sure. The Tifosi will make Monza feel less like a Grand Prix and more like a destiny calling every year. Okay, lads, let's look at the track. Track versus chassis power track, and here we go at the Temple of Doom, I call it. It's very important to keep the momentum up here. So even when you're going through turn 1 and 2, they're braking from 220 mile an hour, slamming on the brakes into second, into 1 and 2. And, you've got to be so super smooth coming out of turn 2 to keep the speed up. So it's a bit of a momentum track too, okay? Especially when you get to 1 and 2. If you kill your speed in 2, you're going to have a hard time going up into 3 and 4, lads. And 4 and 5, bit of a tricky one. Those curbs, they are a bit dodgy, it's a tough one to just nail it every time. You got to be very consistent going through. Here to turn 6, great corner, very fast flowing, fast paced. I think it looks like one of those corners where you just feel like it just goes on, and you can go quicker, but you've got to be so careful because you are relying on your mechanical grip, and you've just got to make sure you don't overdo it in this bend. But here we go with turn 7. The most important corner on the track. No question. Turn 7. You've got to come out of this corner super smooth. Make sure you don't take too much of that curb on the left-hand side. Turn 7 is all about the exit. Not the entrance, not the apex. It's all about where your car is positioned on the exit. If you get a nice smooth run coming out of here, keep that speed up, keep that momentum up. You're going, number 1, downhill, downhill is a huge thing, lads, right? Because it's downhill, and you can really catch the momentum going down. You know what I mean? Instead of, imagine going uphill. It's a harder struggle, more resistance on the engine. So you're going downhill, long straight, and then you're into 8, 9, and 10, right? Fast flowing, but the 8, 9, and 10 is only set up from your momentum coming out of turn 7. So 7 sets you up for 8, 9, and 10. Now, you've got to be careful too, to a degree, where you're not taking too much curb going into 8, 9, and 10, because in a way, what a lot of racing drivers would do in this situation is you would treat 8, 9, and 10 like one continuous corner. You wouldn't be treating them as 3 separate bends. Now, I hope I'm making sense on that one, but it would be one long corner, right? So in a way, if I was there this weekend, I'd be saying, all right, well, if this is turn 8. So like 8, 9, and 10 is actually not 8, 9, and 10. It's okay, so we got to get through 7 into turn 8. So it's very important as well. Exit speed coming out of 10, and then you're up to 11. 11, great corner. This is where it caught out Charles Leclerc only a few years ago, had a big crash. But 11, extremely important, and it's kind of like turn 6. You must be very cautious that you don't carry too much speed into this corner, because that moment you get 1/2 mile an hour. Sorry, not 1/2 mile an hour. If you get just 1/2 mile an hour extra coming out of that corner, bang, you can end up in the wall like Charles Leclerc did. So it's an inviting corner. It gives you that feeling as I can go quicker in this. I know those type of bends. I've been there, done that. All racing drivers have been there, where it's dragging you in to go quicker. So you can't let it get carried away. And then you're looking at I think it's a 53 lap race, lads. Like I said, Monza, it's going to be great to watch, because maybe some people don't, and I've heard people say this before, that they don't like really watching Monza on TV. It can look boring. There's not a lot of overtaking. I get that. I do. You know, it's just cars going straight, and you know, you don't see the engine speed when you're looking at them just going on a straight, you know. I understand. But the one thing is for sure here, sometimes some of the teams and cars, they could have engine problems this weekend because you're pushing the car so hard with the engine speed, right? Chances of overheating. If chances of overheating, potential cracks in the engine. Or if they don't retire here, and hopefully they don't for anybody here, if they have the reliability, what can also happen for these tracks, like I was saying at the start, this can cause more damage for 3 or 4 races time because something happened at this track that they just overstepped. The engine didn't blow up, it didn't do anything yet, but it just started the next chain reaction into an overheat at another track, or piston blows up, something, engine cracks in half. Not cracks in half, but you know what I mean, it cracks. So this is a track that you're not only trying to win here, you also have got to be careful that you're not doing yourself for the next couple of races. Okay, lads, so that's it. That's it. Here we go. That's the F1 preview for Monza. I'll take a prediction. I'm actually going to go Ferrari. I'm going to go Charles Leclerc takes the win. Oscar Piastri comes in second and Norris third. Maybe even Hamilton on the podium. What do you think, lads? So that's my prediction. Charles Leclerc for the win. Oscar Piastri second. I'll go Lando Norris third. But guys, we will be back. It's going to be awesome to watch. I can't wait. And I hope you can't wait. And I hope you enjoy it too. And we'll see you Monday for the reaction of the race. Ciao, bello.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.